Texture and shine is something I always talk about, and today I'm going to show you very easy techniques and steps to elevate your die cut and embossed designs. This is Bibi Cameron. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to use a piece of 300 grams watercolor paper. This is thick and it doesn't have a lot of texture, but it has some texture that will help us to achieve the look and feel we are looking for. Then we are going to use Altenew Fire Brick ink, and we are going to cover this piece of paper almost completely, and I'm going to spray water just to keep that ink moving over that surface. While the paper is wet, I'm going to apply gold sparkle base, just a few drops, and you will see how this blends with the ink. You can use any similar paint. This is a water-based paint, and I'm going to apply also silver sparkle base. And I'm not overdoing this. I'm just applying a few splatters or drops of the paint. And next I'm going to use Picket Fence Distress Spray. And then again, I'm applying very little of that paint, just one spray, and I'm going to allow this to dry. Once it's dry, I decided to bring more texture, so I'm going to use a non-porous surface. In this case, it's a Teflon sheet, and I'm going to apply the Fire Brick Altenew ink over it, spray a little bit of water, and you will see all those little droplets of ink that you can move around using a brush. And in that way, I'm creating larger puddles of ink, and I can dab the paper over this, creating that kind of wash or texture. Something I do to increase texture and interest on these kind of pieces is to dry the paper with a heat tool, just a little bit, and then dab it again. But this is all optional. It's messy play and I love it, so I will continue doing it until I don't have any more ink to lift from that Teflon sheet. The paper is a little bit warped, so to flatten this out, we are going to place it over a flat surface, and we are going to use heat at the front mainly, but also at the back. And this is the result. I think that's absolutely beautiful, as it is. But we are going to increase beauty and interest, and we are going to use the Altenew Wonderlust 3D embossing folder. I already used it, it's all stained, and we are going to apply ink over the raised area of the image. You might be confused here about which is the raised area of this image, and it's just behind the side that has the letters printed with the name of the embossing folder. So I'm going to use here Obsidian ink, that is a black ink, and I'm applying some pressure because I want to see all the images that are in the embossing folder. And then I'm going to grab my paper and I'm going to place it facing down over that ink, close the embossing folder, and I'm going to emboss this using the Spellbinders die cutting machine. I use just the platform base, and I place the embossing folder, and then I place this adapter plate that is to do embossing, and that's it. And this got me by surprise because it didn't transfer the whole black ink over the panel, but just at the edges of the fonts and the images, looking so beautiful. I already did this before using other colors. I will show you that in a minute. Let me show you here how I clean the embossing folder. So I use this that is called Surgical Spirit. It's similar to rubbing alcohol, and all I have to do is to use a brush to spread that, and with a cloth I just wipe it off. You can clean this perfectly by repeating this process and using also soapy water, and your embossing folder is going to look like new. I'm not going to do that perfectly here, but that's the way I clean my embossing folders when I'm using this type of inks over them. Saying that, you can use any Altenew ink colors to create backgrounds for your projects and different embossing folders to make something like this. The sparkle base or metallic paints will add that incredible shimmer to the project. If you see there, this is so gorgeous. It looks metallic, also looks distressed. And the good thing about sparkle bases is that they are water-based and they don't resist the ink. They kind of blend, and they also allow ink layering. So that plays really well for this kind of techniques. And I'm going to use now Word in Bloom die set to create some embellishments or decorative elements for the card, and I die cut all the flowers using white cardstock and also green cardstock. The name of the cardstock colors are in the video description and also in the blog. I always create a blog post, and in the blog post you find pictures and also the supply list. Now, I'm just adding fire brick at the center of these flowers, and what I want to do is to achieve color coordination between the flowers and the background. As I also use gold for the background, I'm going to add a yellow element here. This is butternut ink, and it's a beautiful yellow, one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do is to blend this out over that ink just to complete the coloring of all the little petals. I apply hunter green at the edges of these leaves, and I die cut them out of grass field cardstock. So when the ink dried, it blended so well with the paper that you can barely see it, but it's there and it's a beautiful little accent. As these flowers has a keyhole system, it's super easy to identify the pieces and it's very easy to glue them together. The Word in Bloom lettering die set will create two different flower designs. One has 2 petals, that is this one here, and the other one has 3 petals. They also have a centerpiece that I die cut out of gold cardstock, and I'm going to adhere it just there. There is another piece that goes underneath this one, but I'm just going to keep it super simple. Now I have the flowers, I have the background panel that coordinates with the flowers and some contrast with the leaves. Now I'm going to use the Mini Delight Enjoy the Fly stamp and die set that will create this cute plane. It has various pieces, super easy to put together, and is super easy to die cut as well. I'm going to show you here very quick how to put one together. I'm going to bring all the pieces on my craft mat here so you can see them, and I'm going to start adhering the pieces from the backing piece to the pieces that should be in the front of that image, if that makes sense. So we are going to be adding glue on the wings, the turbines, and the elevators here at the back, and we are going to allow that glue to dry a little bit because we don't want glue smearing. And with the help of the perfect picker, we are going to put all the little pieces in place. Then I'm going to add these little details on the wings. I'm going to add this big part of the plane, and I'm going to double it up. This little piece here is the last one I'm going to adhere, and this is done. I really like to add another layer at the back. In this case is white, and I'm going to adhere it offset so it adds more dimension to the plane. Now we are going to add more texture here, and to do that I die cut these compass from the new Floral Odyssey die set. There are different compass designs. I'm going to do this one here at the bottom that only has 6 main pieces. You can see 5 of them here on my craft mat, but there is one that I'm going to be adding later. You will see it just very soon. So I simply added glue to adhere these pieces, and I decided also to add details. So I brought these die cut letters that are the north, the south, east, and west. And they are so little that it's difficult to add glue behind the paper. So I decided to add just a drop of glue on those areas I wanted to adhere the letters. And I also doubled them up to have more dimension. I'm not worried about the glue showing up because I'm going to apply a technique that will cover that up regardless. So this is done, and this is the other piece that I mentioned that we are going to need, but I die cut that out of silver cardstock. And here I have to improvise a little bit because my spray got clogged, so I have to drop the paint over the die cut, spray a little bit of water, and then using a brush I have to spread the paint over this. But that wasn't the look and feel I wanted, so I use a wipe to lift some of this paint. That, by the way, is the same picket fence distress spray I use for the background. All I have to do here is to use my heat tool to dry this up. And after, when this is completely dry, we are going to use a little bit of Mayan Gold Shimmer Relief Paste to add a little bit of color over the raised areas of this die cut. To do that, we are using a very dry brush and trying to keep this very dry to apply a dry on dry technique. Did I say dry many times? It needs to be dry, okay? We cannot apply a lot of moisture on this because we want to achieve the results we want with this paste. Now we are going to apply a little bit of a sparkle base. This is Cooper. You can use any similar or maybe Cooper ink or anything like that. We just want to add some hint of color here and there to get a distressed look or a more metallic look. You can achieve that with many different products. Doesn't have to be this exactly, but this is what I use and I want to show you the process. I also use this wooden piece to avoid getting everything inked and to stain or have to clean too much my craft mat. So using those three products, I achieved this look and feel. I don't know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. And for this card, I went extra mile. I was experimenting with different die sets and different layouts. And I also die cut this piece here from this die set called Word in Bloom. It's the same one that I used for the flowers. I added this little piece here also in a metallic contrasting color. I'm using silver and gold. So that's all I did for this piece. And that's how I got all the pieces I need for this project. So I have a background that is travel theme, the world map, a compass, a plane, and flowers that could never be missed. I initially have an idea that was with a tag, and I was going to lay out all the pieces over this little tag here, and I was going to make a card design with that. Also because the tags somehow remind me of traveling. So let me show you that example that I'm not going to execute in this video, but I definitely want to show you that idea. So I wanted to stamp the sentiment there because it gives me the perfect excuse to stamp a sentiment next to a very busy background without having to find another design alternative. And I could add this over a color cardstock panel or over white. And that was looking pretty good, but I decided to go in full scale because one of the features of this card is the background, and by making a tag we were covering that background almost completely. So I made an A2 card base. This measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I trimmed the panel to be 1/4 of an inch shorter than the card base. I glue it over, making sure that I have that beautiful white edge around the edges, and I foam mounted this central piece here. I used dimensional foam pads to stick the plane and some of the flowers, but all the pieces that goes against the background were adhered using liquid glue. You can use any of the elements I create today to create cards for different occasions, Halloween, some Valentine's, birthday cards, any occasion. Today we are making something travel theme, and as always I got carried away and I didn't think too much about the sentiment. I wanted to do a banner or something small, but I decided to stamp it over this piece of the plane and then I glue it over. I also added dazzling diamond sequins. These add a little bit of a sparkle here and there, and to adhere then I use this side of the perfect picker. I dab it a little bit on that glue, so that allowed me to pick up the sequins, and these are tiny, but I can lift them up with easy just by doing that. And that's the way we transform blank cardstock into something else using our dyes, inks, embossing folders, and all the good stuff we have in our craft rooms. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this project. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel or visit the blog for more ideas and inspiration. The links are in the video description. Thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Bye!
Hello there. Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.